Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating classic folktale. It's called The Mystery of Rampur Jungle, a tale of purity, deception, and forgiveness. Let's just jump right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Our story starts off with a pretty massive problem. For months, King Sher Singh has been ruling over this really peaceful jungle. But then, bizarre things start happening. The animals of Rampur are suddenly gripped by this strange, unexplainable anxiety. And worse, they realize that day by day they're mysteriously losing their physical strength. Seriously, imagine that. An entire community just slowly being drained of its vitality. King Sher Singh is completely baffled. I mean, how does a whole jungle just lose its power out of nowhere?
He obviously needs answers, and he needs them fast. Soon enough, the trail leads the king and his subjects deep into the darkening woods, right to the edge of the Kali Gufa, which translates to the Black Cave. And there is this strange, just really unsettling energy coming from deep inside the cavern. It's like this invisible force that's literally stripping the strength from every single living creature in Rampur.
Now this is where the investigation really kicks into high gear. King Sher Singh looks inside the cave, but he doesn't find a monster or anything like that. Instead, he finds these strange, mysterious paintings covering the walls. So he immediately brings in the wisest animal in the jungle, the fox, to figure out what's going on. The fox carefully analyzes the artwork and realizes, hey, this is a message. The paintings show a wise sage, a Baba, holding a magical stone. And the crazy part? Right there, resting on the floor inside the actual cave, is that exact same physical stone. But here's the catch, and the fox discovers this pretty quickly. This stone has a dual nature. Basically, if it's held by pure hands, it brings complete peace and restoration to the land. But if it falls into the hands of someone with evil intentions, it brings absolute ruin and destruction. Now, what was really puzzling King Sher Singh here was that the physical stone was just sitting there on the cave floor, completely untouched. Nobody was holding it. It wasn't good hands, and it wasn't in bad hands. So what on earth was causing the drain? Honestly, they were completely stumped, and the animals had to head home feeling pretty hopeless. But then, that night, a breakthrough happens. King Sher Singh falls asleep and has this incredibly vivid dream. And guess who shows up? The very same Baba from the cave paintings. The Baba looks right at the king and delivers this chilling message. He says, "This stone has been touched with evil intentions. That is why the jungle is suffering." So the Baba explains that someone, somehow, had already placed their dark intentions onto that stone, activating its destructive curse and draining the life force right out of the jungle.
Naturally, the king begs the Baba for a solution, like how do they get rid of this evil? And the Baba gives him the cure. He says that to break the curse and destroy that dark energy, the stone has to be touched by a completely pure animal. We're talking about an animal who has never committed a single sin. If a truly pure being touches the stone, the dark powers will just vanish, and the jungle will be totally restored. So the king wakes up, calls a massive assembly, and announces this cure. And man, it hits everyone like a ton of bricks. It brings up this huge philosophical roadblock. Is anyone in the jungle truly without sin? I mean, where on earth do you even find a completely flawless being? But with literally no other options, the grand search begins, and they start interrogating every single animal in Rampur. And this brilliantly illustrates the real depth of this story, because it turns out every single group of animals harbored flaws. The carnivores? Well, they were pretty quick to admit they hunt and kill daily, so they obviously aren't pure. But what about the gentle plant eaters? Surprisingly, the herbivores admitted to betrayals of the heart and breaking emotional bonds. Even the seemingly innocent deer was disqualified. It actually came out that before her marriage, she'd had a secret affair with a cheetah, which had caused her husband to divorce her in anger. From the meat eaters to the mildest grazers, literally every single animal carried some form of guilt. Even the wise fox threw in the towel. The search was just a total failure. Just when it feels like all hope is totally lost, the Baba appears to King Sher Singh in a second dream. He tells the king, hey, don't despair because there's one beacon of hope left. Apparently, living quietly right at the very edge of the jungle is a goat named Chameli. And Chameli, the Baba reveals, has never committed a single sin. She is completely pure. The king is just overjoyed. First thing the next morning, he gathers everyone up, they march to the edge of the jungle, and they literally beg Chameli for her help. And she's amazing about it. She humbly agrees to do whatever she can to save her home. So, they escort Chameli into the shadowy depths of the Black Cave. The entire jungle is just holding its breath at this point. She steps forward, She reaches out, she places her pure hand right on the magical stone, and absolutely nothing happens. Seriously, the debilitating weakness is still there. The curse is still totally active. The animals are just standing there, utterly confused and honestly completely devastated.
But suddenly, the silence is broken. Rushing onto the scene completely out of breath is Cantoon the rabbit. He's pointing frantically at the goat standing by the stone, and he just yells, "That is not the real goat."
Okay, let's break down the timeline of this unbelievable deception. That goat standing in the cave, it was a traitor. It was actually a wolf in disguise. Here's what went down. The night before, the selfish wolf heard about the king's plan and went and kidnapped the real Chameli. He locked her away and then used magic to disguise himself as the goat. Why? Well, he wanted the jungle to stay weak. He figured if he pretended to be the goat, touched the stone, and obviously failed to break the curse, the king and all the other animals would just eventually wither away. And then he could just swoop in, seize the throne, and become the new ruler of Rampur.
But thanks to Chantu the rabbit, the whole plot gets exposed. Overnight, the animals completely flip the script. They rush over to the wolf's lair, free the real Chameli, and bring the actual pure goat straight to the cave. And this time, when the real Chameli touches the stone, this massive surge of brilliant energy just floods the cave. The dark magic completely shatters. By the next morning, every single animal in the jungle wakes up to find their full strength completely restored. And the wolf? He wakes up to see all these healthy, strong animals and is just utterly shocked that his master plan completely failed. So the physical curse is broken, right? But the social fracture in the community is still very much there. And this brings us right to the climax of our explainer. The animals drag this exposed, traitorous wolf right before King Shir Singh. The entire jungle is absolutely furious. I mean, this wolf actively tried to let them all suffer and die just to feed his own ego. So the question hanging in the air is pretty obvious. What should be done with the traitorous wolf? The crowd is understandably demanding some really severe, harsh punishment. King Sher Singh turns to the one who actually saved them all, Chameli the pure goat, and he asks for her verdict. The entire jungle just goes dead quiet. Everyone is expecting her to demand justice, right? I mean, she was kidnapped. But instead, she looks at the cowering wolf and says softly, "He should be forgiven, because the one who forgives is greater." It is just this stunning, unexpected moment of grace. So the crucial point is this. King Sher Singh actually listens to Chameli. He officially pardons the wolf, and the wolf is just completely broken by this unearned mercy. He hangs his head in deep shame, forever changed by the grace he was just shown. And this final act, it establishes a whole new definition of community in Rampur. True brotherhood wasn't just about getting their physical strength back. It was about forgoing revenge. It was about choosing peace over punishment and collectively agreeing that, moving forward, no one would ever harm another person for their own selfish desires again. You know, the story of Rampur Jungle really shows us that almost everyone carries some flaw or some past mistake, even the seemingly innocent deer. True, flawless purity like Chameli's is incredibly rare. It's almost impossible to find in the real world. So I want to leave you with this question. If true purity is nearly impossible to find, is forgiveness the only real magic we have to heal our communities? Think about that in your own life and your own relationships. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible tale, and keep that curiosity focused until next time.